Alright everyone, we've got another Dems are the real racists moment, only in this case, of course, it's absolutely true. Nury Martinez, the Los Angeles City Council president, had a little bit of an oopsie-whoopsie. There was a call last year that's now been leaked between her and other council members, and they were referring to another member of the council named Mike Bonin, and referring to, he's white, and he adopted a black child. And now they're talking badly about the child, which under normal circumstances, talking about someone's child because you're pissed at them politically is not generally a road that most reasonable people go down if they're in politics. You get plenty of that from the crap devoid peanut gallery, but generally politicians at least attempt, unless there's something really beyond the pale like, you know, Hunter Biden smoking crack and doing quid pro quo stuff. Normally presidential or council people, representatives, etc., their children are off the table as far as attacks go. And this is a private conversation, though it involved multiple members of the council. And she referred to his child as S.A. Changuito, which translates effectively to that little monkey. Then complained that they were raising the boy like a little white kid. And some of the quotes I don't even think that I can read because they might be against the terms of service. Just to be clear, if Nury Martinez were to say these things on a YouTube video, she would get a strike on her account. Interesting, the double standard to which politicians are held. I will note, Nury Martinez is a member of the Democratic Party. What is notably absent from much of the reporting that the legacy media is doing right now on this story? They're not talking about her political affiliation. I think they're hoping that people will just assume, because they've got cognitive dissonance, they've got like that stereotype of Republicans as generally being, they're out on the porch with the shotgun, snapping their suspenders and saying, we don't want y'all kind round here. Meanwhile, look at what's happening as of today in New York City. I'll be covering that later on the live stream if I end up live streaming. It's likely. There's a 99% chance of a live stream today. My schedule a little bit more clear today. I'm just trying to think. They clearly want people to believe that this is like some rock-ribbed conservative racist. Actually, it has to do with there is a large level of animus in certain urban communities between Latino and black groups. It's part of it's gang-related, actually, ethnic gangs. A lot of it is due to the ghettoization of inner city areas. There tends to be a lot more of a disconnect because you've got the block-by-block development sort of thing. You'll have, and this is joked about, good block, bad block, but it's also like ethnic block. So in like New York City, you have Little Italy. You're going to tend to have a lot of Italians living there. Other groups tend not to move in. Sometimes, but generally not. You have, you know, Little China, Little Soho and stuff like that. You have a neighborhood that's primarily Guatemalan. The one next to it might be primarily Polish, and it just has to do with people moving into urban areas over time and then seeking people that basically speak the same lingo. It makes it easier to get a job, it makes it easier to do things. And so that on the borders of these regions, it can provoke animus. It can also provoke animus when you deliberately attempt to force people to live together that don't want to live together, a la the Obama administration. We know this well. This is an example of a member of the Democratic Party being racist. It goes beyond that, though, because it involves a kid. This is not a politician. This isn't some council person making bigoted comments towards another member of the council. It's making comments towards their kid. And her crocodile tears story is, well, it was in a moment of intense anger. We were talking about redistricting and shit like that. I'm really, really sorry. And it's funny because the representative from that district condemns it, but will not call for removal from that position, isn't calling for resignation. Naturally, Mike Bonin is, hey, you insulted my kid, fucking resign. And there does seem to be a lot of dislike for these comments, so I wouldn't go so far as to say they're directly trying to cover it up, but they are definitely lying by omission when they don't state Democrat in the story. Because you know that if they were a member of any other political affiliation, it would be listed prominently in the first sentence. We've seen many cases. Hell, there are probably people out there that think that Ralph Northam was a Republican or something like that. Well, he wore blackface in high school or college or whatever it was. He must be a MAGA member. And you can look through the article, link in the description, archived, of course. And it gets weirder and weirder. But there was another council member, De Leon, actually. What's the full name? Kevin De Leon. and he was on the same call, and likened Bonan's handling of the child to when Nury brings her little yard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag. Yes. I'm wondering, why are people not calling for him to be removed from that position as well? Lord knows. But we've seen this before. We've seen it with Northam, Trudeau, who's basically the Canadian version of a far-left Democrat. He did the blackface thing. Fucking all of the entertainers and shit like that, they all seem to have the same problem. It's something that I've spoken of before, and I might as well bring it up again. I went to UVM for several years. It's a far-left university. It's in Vermont, in Burlington. It's in Hippieville. Well, really Hipsterville at this point. A lot of leftoids come from the West Coast, especially California and places like that. A lot of the trust fund crowd, like the upper middle class, McMansion crowd, they go to UVM because they know that weed will be available and the skiing is good. And so they want to do that. So they come and they've got their fake dreadlocks and their wakeboards and shit like that. This is probably an outdated reference at this point from the mid-2000s, but I'm sure that there's some doppelganger of it now. And you see people playing hacky sack and shit like that. I've conversed with people who are on the left wing of the spectrum. I've also conversed with many people on the right wing of the spectrum. There is a huge difference in the amount of closeted bigotry between these two groups. If a right-winger is a bigot, they're more likely to just fly the Confederate flag off their pickup, go buy the local black-owned business throwing the Sieg Heil or something. They're very open about it. Because, you can call it uncouth or something, but at least you're being honest about your views. The leftoids will never say anything like this in the presence of another person who happens to be of the color or designation of some sort that they're criticizing at the time. They'll do it on a call they expect not to be leaked. They'll do it in a private conversation of bros smoking weed together. And all of a sudden things get weird because this person who's like, yeah, fuck George W. Bush, fuck the war, yeah man, we should all live together in peace. But really I have a problem, and I don't really want to discuss it too much, but here, let me bring it up in minutia. I really have a problem with this certain ethnic community. They're just not pulling their weight. I've heard this sort of bullshit before. Again, Groovy UVM itself, the seat of leftoidism in New England. Yes, I went there, and I experienced exactly the same thing. Multiple times, to be clear. Meanwhile, whenever I met a libertarian, they seemed to be non-white. Just to be clear, both the libertarian individuals I ever interacted with there, and they're as scarce as hen's teeth, one of them was an immigrant from India, and the other one was the black second-generation child of an African immigrant. So, yes, there is a big differential here. Meanwhile, libertarians are considered to be Nazis by people who are part of the Democratic Party in general. I just found it funny because, the story's not funny. You're targeting a little kid and calling him a monkey and shit like that. That's not good. The funny part, though, is the legacy media's non-coverage of the story. The very pertinent detail being left out so that the reader has to figure it out for themselves. And even if they look it up, it's not going to say, like, on the Google splash page or something, it doesn't say Nury Martinez, Democratic Party. Or something like that. You have to go to the fucking Wikipedia article or something and then scroll down to the side to find out what party she's a member of. Guaranteed that a lot of people just think of her as, well, that sounds like it must be one of those new Hispanic Republicans I keep hearing about, like a Mayra Flores or something like that. No wonder she's a bigot against black people. All MAGA Republicards are. That's probably what a lot of them think. Especially if they happen to be reading the leftoid news articles so prominently missing that particular descriptor. That's about all. Peace out.